quit my 9 to 5 job with absolutely zero doubt and fear that my freelance career wasn't going to work. And here's how I did it. The key for me was that I started freelancing while I was still in a job. And I've spoken about this on other videos, but the purpose was never to try and find an immediate escape. It was to test what I could do on the side, to try and line up that first client, to try and earn that first dollar, euro, and see where it took me. And I think all in all, how I like to think about these things, how I like to think about everything is small steps. What is the smallest step you can take right now to get towards that dream of freelancing full time? And that's what eventually I was able to do. But it took, I think, 2 years of freelancing as on the side, creating a side hustle for myself while I still had my full-time job, before I built up the courage and the proof that I was able to quit my job and go and do this full time. I think there's a tendency to believe that you can quit your job and follow your dream and go and do something different. And I do think that's possible. But I'll just share a very quick story. But 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I actually got made redundant from a job. And it was the second time that had happened in my career. And I thought to myself at that point, fuck this. I don't want this happening throughout my career. Working in media, I found it, it was very unstable in that sense. You could lose your job all the time. And I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to take control for myself. And I at that point, I was kind of forced into it, but I thought, I'm going to go freelance. And I picked up a couple of clients, but what happened was very quickly, I started to feel the pressure of not making enough. The bills were coming in. I was looking at my bank balance, and there was no room to build growth because there was too much pressure. There was too much living in fear of, I need to make this amount and I need to make it fast because I've got rent to pay and I've got bills to pay. And it was really difficult. It was just this constant pressure. It was like walking on a tightrope and having no security whatsoever. What was happening was every project just felt like a lifeline. And that meant I was saying yes to everything. And I was trying to also perfect everything because I felt I needed to do the best possible job to impress people so they'll refer me to more. It was a high pressure situation. And I've seen this time and time again, and people think that the pressure of going all in is going to motivate you, but that's not what happens. Pressure doesn't build discipline, it builds fear. So if you want to work for yourself, I think it's all about starting small. Where's the smallest place you can start? I like to say, what's the smallest thing you can do right now? And that might be an hour every day or an hour 3 times a week, trying to find clients. You get a bit of downtime in work, try and find some clients. Get yourself on Upwork, get yourself on Fiverr, whatever it might be. Reach out to people. Cold outreach on LinkedIn also works quite well in whatever your space. Talk to people, tell them that you're trying to get extra work. You just don't know what's going to come your way. And all it takes is that first one, and that builds confidence. And with that, it also builds momentum. And I've mentioned before on the channel, my very first job was $6 an hour because I didn't care how much I was earning. I just wanted to get that first client. I was really interested in Upwork. I thought, what could happen here if I could get momentum on Upwork? So I just focused on getting one client and then getting a review and then seeing where that took me. And very quickly where it took me was $6 an hour became $15 an hour. A 5-star review, the next job became $20 an hour, a 5-star review. The client then was referring me to other people who I could work with off the platform. They were referring me to other people. And it becomes this incredible web where you're suddenly connected to a bunch of people because you did a really good job for them. And they're connecting you to others. And then you have momentum. And then you have the proof that this works. Because you need that momentum to be able to say, this works, and I'm now comfortable enough to know that I can double down on this. And that's exactly what happened for me this time around when I started going freelance, started looking for jobs while I still had a 9 to 5. So I was taking my downtime, a little time the weekend, a little time in the evening to do my freelance work. And it just absolutely snowballed from there very quickly. I was connected with so many different people who were sending me work. It got to a point where my part-time freelance income was very close to my full-time 9 to 5 income. That was very clearly then a time where I could leave with confidence to go, I'm not even putting full time into this freelance business, and it's generating not quite as much, but almost as much as my 9 to 5 salary. And that became a point where I could go, this is very clear. And I was super confident of being able to pick up more clients. And that came from momentum on Upwork and seeing what connecting with people can do and what referrals can do. And like I said, that's how I was able to quit a job with absolutely zero fear. So I think if you're thinking about going freelance, or if you're looking at it and you have a job, start now. It's the best place to start because you have that security, you have that net where it's not a pressure. It's not a high pressure situation where you're going to need to make X amount each month to pay your bills. Let your 9 to 5 pay your bills and use that other time to start creating a freelance business that will, for sure, if you can build a little bit of momentum, can then, for me, it was double my salary and create also a life that you can enjoy so much more, because that's the biggest thing for me. As much as my income has doubled, I've created a life that is so much better. I have freedom to go out and do things during the day if I need to, and not ask for permission, take time off and not ask for permission, not be at the beck and call of somebody who's my boss, which I absolutely hated. And there's a beautiful freedom in that. And obviously there's times when it's tough and there are a lot of challenges, but I would take this all day long over working a 9 to 5. And if you feel that that's for you, I encourage you now to start. And I know it's difficult. Everybody is under time pressure. If you have kids, if you are in a relationship, it's difficult to give up time for, more work. But it just takes getting that momentum, start building, put that first brick down, and the outcome can be incredible. If you need any help, comment below. Let me know what's stopping you. If you are considering freelancing, let me know what's stopping you. And then I can focus on that more. But hopefully this is somewhat helpful as a guide to motivating you to take that first step, because there's an incredible life to be had outside of a 9 to 5. I've been able to build a 6-figure business from my box room here in Dublin without any flash, without any funding needed. It's a business that's doing really well, but it's a very simple business, and that's what I like about freelancing as well. I don't want a big business where I have staff and I have to hire and fire people, and I don't need all that. I just want simplicity, and that's what this can give you. So if you need any help, comment below. Let me know what else you'd like me to tackle. If you feel a calling to a life where you work for yourself and have a little bit of freedom, I encourage you to take that step now.